Molly, can you hear me? Molly, can you hear me? I can't hear you guys yet.
John, can you hear us
Okay,
now?
there we are.
Is John now? What's that? Does John know I'm running the meeting?
John, I asked Jeff. Oop, are we muted?
Yeah, you're good. No, you're good. I hear you now.
So Jeff and I talked about Jeff chairing since he's president. Is that okay?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
glad you're here though.
Hi, John.
Howdy.
And Molly, do you, we talked about, me logging in and sharing the exhibits. Do you want me to do that?
That would be quite
Okay. Yeah, so what is your plan? Or is your goal, your preference for presenting materials?
I was gonna coordinate that with Ryan. He said he'd be here in minutes.
Okay.
So.
You know, I guess I didn't send to you guys the packet. It just went out yesterday.
Yeah.
You saw the packet?
No, I didn't.
So it's the old plat, it's the new plat, it's the old and new percentage of voting documents. I include the letter from the HOA president.
Just like we had
and
before.
staff report about, what's happening basically. So we have those
Pretty good.
online, I can put them on the screen, yeah, that's helpful.
That would be helpful, because I only have one pen and paper.
Okay.
Sure. I only have a copy of it, so.
No fun. Okay. Not Mylar, right?
No, this is good old paper.
Yeah.
If we don't do Mylar until everybody says yes.
Yeah, right.
When everybody says yes, then we'll bring Mylar. That stuff is expensive.
Is it, what's it cost for a sheet of Mylar?
It used to be people have it's 300 something bucks. I get out.
Oh,
It's like 5 times more expensive than the paper.
Yeah.
Cause this is pennies on the dollar, but my one is like 5 or 10 bucks just for the sheet.
Yeah.
And I gotta print 4 of these for this.
Yeah.
Hi,
See you guys.
nice to see you again.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Is it okay if I stay here?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay.
Trying not to make it.
He is at
2:59.
Okay, let me get lots of spell going so that they're ready. Remember, there's a lot of stairs there, so then you can
Yeah.
start whenever you feel ready, when it turns 3 o'clock.
Always exciting. Well, it is 3 o'clock. And we're here today. It's February 25th at the Alta Planning Commission, and we have quite a bit to cover today. And so I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have 5 public hearings. And the way we'd like to do the public hearings is we're gonna do them one at a time. And then we'll close that public hearing, open the next public hearing. And go down the list of 5 like that. So I'd like to open the public hearing for public comment on the condominium plat amendment for the Hellgate condominiums located 9670 East Highway 210, Alta, Utah. And just a few kind of ground rules. I would appreciate if individual comments be hold for about 3 minutes. And if you could state your name and representation, that would be good as well for the record. So with that, I'll open it up for public comments.
These guys are all here with Hellgate condominiums.
Okay, so.
Hi, everybody, thanks for having us.
Hi.
Yeah, so this is Kyle. Kyle works with Benchmark Engineering. We hired this firm to redraw our plat maps. So in 1991, the CCNRs of Hellgate were updated to state that two individual plats.
Can I interrupt you?
Please,
So,
please.
so this isn't the actual, this presentation discussion, this is, it might seem
Just-
strange, but the public hearing is just, it's.
Public comments.
Public comments.
Okay.
I mean, typically when we have public hearings on non-controversial matters, like we expect this is. If nobody's here to make a comment, then you'll just say, does anybody wanna make a comment? And we no longer hold our public hearings over for 5 minutes, even if no one shows up to comment.
Correct.
Love it.
Anyhow.
And
so-
that said, there are two folks online, so if you are online and hoping to make a comment, if you could just hit the raise hand button in your Zoom screen and I can activate your video microphone.
So,
But so
Okay.
far, nobody is.
so carry on, you still have part of your 3 minutes to comment.
No, but they're not making a public comment now, they're making a comment,
Well, they could make a public comment.
I'll redact that public comment. Refrain from making any more.
You can if you want.
Okay.
No, thank you for letting me.
Gotcha. So-
you don't want a trial run? No.
So, with that, do we have anybody online that's here to speak relative to the plat amendment for the Hellgate condominiums? Please raise your hand. Seeing none,
Oh, there's one.
go ahead.
It'll just take a minute, they have to. Rejoin. Oh, Robert, looks like you declined the invitation to speak. I'm gonna try one more time. If you wanna make a comment, accept that invitation.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say, I'm Bob Hoffman. I'm here representing the Hellgate HOA. If there are any questions that need to be addressed.
Okay, thank you. When we get into the formal part of the meeting, we'll look forward to hearing what you might have to say. So do you have a public comment relative to the,
No.
okay, thank you. With that, seeing no other people wishing to speak towards the condominium, I would move that or motion to close that public hearing. We need a motion. Or just.
So moved.
Probably, yeah.
Moved by John, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Marion. Anybody opposed? As soon as everybody's in favor, okay, that second section for the public hearing agenda is closed. So the next public hearing that we're going to move to is to receive public comments on updating references to the Utah Land Use Development Act, formerly known as LUDMA, in the town of Alta Code, Utah Code annotated 1020. So with that, I'll open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on that? How about from the online? Anybody wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Oh, well, not hearing or seeing anybody wishing to speak on that, again, entertain a motion to close that section of our public hearing agenda. So moved by Paul.
Second.
Second, Marion. Seconded by Marion, and thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. So moving down to the third item on our public hearing agenda. We see public comments on amendments to the town of Alta zoning maps to reflect base facility zone A, B, and C. So I'd open the public comment on that. And do we have anybody here to speak on that matter? How about online? So not hearing anybody on that, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing So on that part of the agenda. Paul, second, Marion, affirmative nod by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries to oppose. Get down there. So the fourth item on our public hearing is to receive comments on amendments to provisions of Title 10 regarding petitions to rezone. So I would like to open the public comment on that section. And anybody here wishing to speak on that part of our agenda? About online. Hands? Okay. So with that, again, I would entertain a motion to close that segment of our public hearing.
So moved.
By Paul.
Second.
Nodded by John. Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We're getting down there. Last but not least, public comment on amendments to provisions of the subdivision chapter. Open that section of our public hearing to public comments. Anybody wishing to speak on that matter? Anybody online? Maybe? No? Okay. So with that, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on the segment of our agenda. Amendments to provisions of the subdivision chapter. Moved by Marion. Seconded by Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Got through all of that.
Well, checks there.
Yeah.
They have extra points if you.
So, with that, I'd like to, again, close that section, our section of public hearings, for our meeting. And, move on to, our regular agenda. And, first part of that agenda is to, open it up for any, general, public comments that there may be. Anybody online that wishes to speak, to general comments? So, moving on to the next section of our agenda is approval of the minutes of our December 17th, 2025 meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or comments relative to those minutes? Well done, by the way, I thought.
It's not.
Okay, well, once again, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the December 17th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
By Paul
Second.
and Marion. John, you're getting off easy up there.
No. You guys are too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. All those, let's see, do we vote on that? Yep, in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so now we get into, okay, condominium. So I guess, Chris, do you want to kind of give us a highlight overview of that, or do we
Yeah,
want to?
sure, yeah,
Over
so,
to the applicants?
yep, so we've got, Hellgate Property Managers, Ryan and Beth here with us, and surveyor working, on the project, Kyle. And then I think we have a couple folks, from the HOA online with us as well, including Bob Hoffman. I do, at the outset, want to thank you guys and thank Bob and Natalie for working with us in the town office on this. We don't see a lot of plat amendments. Hellgate was platted in 1971, was not in Alta when it was platted. Hellgate was annexed into the town in 1974, which was a little while ago. And the plat that's on record at Salt Lake County is that existing plat. So what these folks are here today is get a preliminary approval and a preliminary plat from the planning commission. It does a couple key things. It combines the original recording is actually two separate plats, so it combines. There, one plat shows a couple of buildings and another shows another one of the buildings, more or less. So it combines those onto one sheet. And then, as in any 55-year-old condominium project, or roughly 55-year-old condominium project, some of the interior partitions have changed. So similar to the last condominium plat amendment we saw, which was for the Sugar Plum townhouses, this amendment will kind of clean up some of the changes that have been made to unit dimensions, common versus private area. There's some annotations in the original plat that weren't right. So anyway, this is really a housekeeping plat. There are no changes proposed to the exterior. There's no new footprints, so it doesn't trigger any of our sort of higher level, doesn't affect zoning regulations with regard to density or, height coverage setbacks, anything like that. This is housekeeping, the likes of which we will probably continue to see here in Alta because of the age of a lot of development that exists up here on the ground. So I don't really have anything else to add. So these, other than I guess I'll offer that we provided an application form to these guys similar to how we did with Sugar Plum townhouses. They fulfilled it. Quite a lot of materials. I recall providing you all like a 300-page packet when we did the Sugar Plum townhouse condominium plat, and then that had all of the exhibits to the application, which are sort of commonplace submittals when reviewing a subdivision or a condominium plat. And we decided not to include those in the packet this time around. We reviewed them, comply with the requirements. And the packet that we finally provided to you just provides what we think the key details are given what is being proposed here. So anyway, so you guys we amended the subdivision ordinance the end of last year. What was that, 2 years ago?
It's the end of 24.
I'll just say a couple things about our process. We are more or less running this through our subdivision ordinance. As I described in the staff report, the town code is inconclusive about plat amendments. But again, we're running it through the subdivision ordinance. The subdivision process in which the planning commission provides that the preliminary approval, and then staff provides approvals on plats under the updated state statute for subdivision. So you all provide the preliminary approval, and then for final approval, we get an updated title report and make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and then staff signs the final plan. So that's the process.
And you sign it as the town manager, as the land use authority.
Yes, that's in that updated. That's per the change to state code that we followed and updating our own subdivision ordinance. It was specifically to remove the council from any sort of approval authority on plats.
So, I'll give you guys a chance to speak in just a second. So really what the motion would be looking for us is to forward a positive approval.
Yeah, sorry,
Go for it.
that's the old, I'm
old
so
language.
used to, that's the old language. So what you are actually approving is the preliminary plat
Itself, okay,
itself, and then
it
what
gets automatically forwarded.
forwarded, and then the final plat will get approved by the town manager and with consultation from the engineer.
Okay,
And, I think the staff report, I won't add in, but the staff report kind of explains, it took me a little while to wade through all the different things that were going on, with the new plat, but I would just recommend that the recommendation or the approval include a condition of approval that the CCNRs have to be updated and recorded with the plat, which they would do anyway. But you wanna just make sure that that updates the schedule that you're changing and associating it with the plat itself.
and an updated title report. With that, turn it over to you guys to some thoughts, comments.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
That was a bit, you just said as concisely as I possibly have ever been rattling around in there. This is also in response to a Utah state statute that requires HOAs to update their plat maps and CCNRs every X amount of years, and we're in violation of that currently. So that's another main motivation for this project, is to bring us in alignment with the current HOA laws in the state of Utah. Kyle from Benchmark has been so helpful on the engineering side of things. Our lawyer, Natalie, who I believe you talked to a little bit, thank you by the way for that, has really been advising us on the legal side of things. And our job has kind of just been middlemen to try to dovetail the two with Chris's help and bring everything together. We're here today to get your guidance on where we are in that process and what we need to do if we're not on the right path to bring us to the right path. So that's why we're here today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And do we want to turn it over to Buddy Line to add additional comments? Mr. Hoffman or?
Yeah, they wanna come into the webinar and,
I'll let it bump in.
yeah.
And Kyle, I would love to hear anything you think you should add.
I mean, as far as what comes in on my side, Chris said it perfect, like, we're just updating that plat to make sure that everything's reflected in actually up there, so.
And did you have a title report when you were updating?
Yeah, we were-
your survey.
Ryan and Beth have been providing us documents to make sure that all of that stuff that applies is on our plat as well.
It was within weeks of us submitting the application here, so report.
I did look at it after we spoke and I don't remember the date, but it was current. It was contemporary.
So any else from the homeowners association? Wishing
No,
to speak?
I appreciate you reviewing this, and I think Ryan stated it well. If there is something we need to do differently, we want to be doing it and get it done correctly. We appreciate you looking at this matter for us.
Well, with that, I'll turn it over to commission members. Maybe I'll start with the online. Dave, you have any comments or thoughts you wish to make?
I want to thank Chris for putting such a hearty planning commission packet together. I spent a lot of time flipping through the drawings, trying to figure out what they were saying in 1971. I like where they ended up, and in particular, I just wanted to give them a shout out for having 3 employee quarters, distinct employee quarters, and I was trying to trace that back in the older documents, and I couldn't quite figure that out. But the real end result, I applaud. So that was my major comment. Was thanks for considering some workforce housing type use as a part of your updated plat.
John, how about you? Any comments?
No, nothing to add. I'll just add a different word to Chris's packet, robust. In addition to hearty. So thanks again, Chris and staff for that. So, but no comments, but thank you.
Only on that page.
I've got some blue ink and here's some red ink. Right. It's really.
So Mary, you have any?
No, it seems pretty straightforward to me.
Paul?
Nothing, yeah, it seems perfunctory.
Roger?
Here's a follow-up question. If you were sitting on this side of the table, what would you ask the people sitting there?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a fun question. That's awesome.
Yeah, where's the body?
Maybe what were the pain points in this process, since I don't think I have the perspective to ask a question in terms of if I was on that side of the table, what I would want to know more. But hearing Chris say that you guys might be dealing with a few more of these in the future, I would probably ask if we had any pain points in this process, or if there's anything that we found was challenging, or if there's anything that we would reach out to the town for more help for, essentially. And I don't have a really good answer for that because Chris made this whole thing pain-free, really. He really did.
I mean, I would, we need to, carefully consider our internal process. I mean, we have state code and the code and our state code and town code sort of provide the municipality a little bit of a sandbox in terms of the process that it sets up, so long as presumably it's, the same process for every similar applicant. And again, we just don't see these very often. So, we saw one a couple years ago. We've been working with these guys on this one for really a couple months. And I think it wasn't until last week that we sort of had some ahas as to what the next one ought to look like. So, it's mostly about communicating with the applicant, what the, what's the application, what's the form of the application. And then, yeah, so I have some food for thought about like internal process for next time, but they're probably not always this straightforward. They may be in Alta because of how old, or how long ago some of this stuff was reported. So there is a lot of housekeeping, but
Well, while it's fresh in your mind, I would encourage you to document your thoughts on the process.
Well, I do have I guess a question or a concern that I would have on my end is just as far as who is proofreading these or making sure that all this information is like completely accurate as far as the coordinates and the information that's on there, if the easement has been reported properly, and that everything is carried over from our past plat to our current plat. So that everything, and I believe like UDOT has taken over some of our land, things like that, so there has been changes. So just making sure that that is all recorded correctly.
But a lot of that is why you hired, professional
Yeah,
surveyors.
and that's why you provide professional surveyors.
And
Okay,
What
you
we
guys are
do-
double checking there.
I mean, they check to make sure our numbers.
yeah, we sort of trust the sand for the most part.
Okay.
Good.
So the time.
But we do, I mean, but we have an engineer review it and
Sure.
our engineer with the stamp, trusts your engineer with the stamp, and I mean, I really shouldn't say it that way, but.
That's well put.
That's about how that actually works most of the time.
Yeah.
They come back, they'll give us comments, we'll fix those comments.
So you not condemned Hellgate property? Is that?
No, condemned is probably a wrong word.
Yeah.
They have a process by which they can basically come and take possession of that road
Yeah.
and define it, cause like starting down at the base, coming all the way up to the top, that's all basically a UDOT road.
Oh, yeah.
But they come through and they do all the math and the maps, and that's how we know that changed, is because we were able to pull those maps and say, that doesn't look like what's on your online map.
Yeah.
Why is that
Like
different?
anything up past this dotted line, you don't have to.
Yeah, so,
Over here. would be-
yeah, if you look at that aerial image that I sent, that's everything in everything in those dotted lines there is all UDOT.
So, and that was part of the process with the Forest Service, where they went through with the Forest Service and identified what was.
What was that right
That
way?
right way.
And they basically took possession of that, defined that as theirs. Yep.
Right.
Yes, yeah, kind of an epic event in the history of land status in Rural Cotton Canyon. So, they've officially had a road for 3 years or something like that. Anyways.
Yeah, as long as that road's there and it's used by public, over time it'll accumulate public rights and then it just becomes public.
Yeah. Right, sure.
You still have to.
That's the oversimplified version.
Is the parking on the north side, what's that belong to?
Not us.
Not us, okay.
We,
UDOT according to this.
UDOT, before that, it was an old mining claim that we tried to find the owner for. We actually paid a title company and we wanted to purchase that land potentially for parking. If we could never get in touch with the owner. So,
Everything
now-
around here was an old mining claim.
exactly right, yeah.
It's the Hellgate Road.
That's.
Well, if there's no other comments, I think we're ready for a motion along the lines of approving the preliminary plat, subject to updating the CCNRs and updated title report. Anyone to make such a motion?
So moved.
By Paul.
I'll second.
Anybody else want a second up there?
That's someone else a chance.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries, so I guess your next stop is at Chris's office.
Excellent.
And you
Thank you guys so much.
You can spend the $300 on that sheet of mail.
Yeah, now let me say that it's really nice to have an outfit come in that's this well prepared and done all over the.
Thank you for saying that. We appreciate it. And we
Good show.
do a lot of credit goes towards this guy. He guided us really well in this process. And thank you for talking tonight as well. Yeah. we really appreciate it.
Work through it.
Okay. Well, welcome to Louis, or you're welcome to stay for this more.
This is really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I'm not gonna lie, though, I have a tremendous amount of shoveling today. But really nice to see you
Is the
again.
road open down there?
That's it. The main line is open. Thank you, everybody. Really good to talk to you guys.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah,
Good to see you, bud. See you, Ryan.
Let's go. See you guys. Thanks.
See you, yeah.
So, moving on to the,
Thanks.
so we have, 4 items that were individually, I guess noticed, so. What I'd like to do, Chris, if possible, is, take a format where we go through, each of the item individually, and then we'll take a, vote and motion on that item before we move on to the next one, just to
Yeah.
avoid getting everything all combobbled together. So with that, it would I guess turn the time over to you if you could
Sure.
go to item A, updating references to the Utah Land Use Code Development Act in the Town of Alta Code to Utah Code mandated 10-20.
Did a little bit of a bellyache from that candy downstairs.
It wasn't as fresh as you thought?
I think it was fresh, it was just a certain food group that, yeah, anyway, pretty good. So, yeah, so we have been talking about, starting to do some kind of housekeeping level amendments to the town's land use regulations for quite some time. I think when we started talking about it a couple years ago, we envisioned doing like a huge batch and queuing it up with a start and finish, similar to the Alta Basin Protection Zone process, which took quite a while and, you know, was a heavy tome of red text for our not just Title 10 land use ordinance, but other portions of town code. So absent sort of bandwidth to organize a project like that, we are we have before you today a series of, for the most part, very ministerial code changes that we want to make in order to comply with or better reflect town code or state code rather, from which our land use authority derives. Update the zoning map, just based on something we noticed in the zoning map over the last couple of years. I won't talk through all the individual things, so we can just get to them according to the agenda, but these are really just housekeeping amendments. I have a longer list that I've sort of organized according to like the meatiness of the policy issues at stake. And these are kind of at the top or the bottom, depending on where the meaty policy stuff is. Yeah, and this, I guess these are on the top of the list. They're easy. I don't imagine they'll gender any controversy or conflict. So the first one of these, I appeared at the council. So obviously the process on land use regulations, the planning commission, discusses proposed amendments, whether it's from the public or from staff or from anybody else. And then, after whatever deliberation is due, the planning commission makes votes on a recommendation to the council, and then the council has the final authority. So in order not to get ahead of the council over the past couple of months, we've been talking to the council about these things, and these are not the kinds of things that are likely to trip up the council. So that was more just a matter of sort of developing muscle memory. I did have like, colorful slides for the council, and I figured I would go with a 2-page size 12 staff report this time, just to reduce bulk in the packet. So I apologize if that was, no, I guess we'll just see how it goes, but, so this first one. Let's see.
This is
I've
just-
lost my place in the packet.
It's an electric boat, vest. Wife gave me an electric vest, so I had to get a hold of it.
Firefly.
Yeah.
Lit up.
Yeah.
So this first one is, this is really basic, so.
wants to see you come. Yeah, that's it. Well, it's different levels. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Is that like a heated vest?
Yeah,
Oh,
Does it change with your mood?
I think so, yeah.
Let's keep it on green.
so the first one of these, so each of these are sort of passed up in an ordinance that the council will pass, and that's like the official vehicle to make it the law. The first one of these ordinances makes amendments to town code to update references to the chapter in state code that gives the town land use authority, that defines our land use authority. That act, that component of the state code is called Land Use and Development Management Act, or LUDMA. And a couple of years ago, in a special session, I guess it was just this past, was it 2025? Fall 2025?
Yeah, no, it was 2024. Oh, did they change this? Yeah, it was November 25.
Yeah, so just a few months ago in a special session in the legislature, they moved, for reasons unbeknownst to any of us, they took LUDMA from chapter 10.9A, section 10.9A, and moved it to 10.20. We have references to 10.9A throughout the town code, and this ordinance would change those to 10.20. I have nothing else to say about this. Do you have any questions?
Are
And
they
of course,
gonna move that around again on you, Chris? Or is there a way to document it without having to say cite chapter and verse, or do we have to specifically?
Yeah.
call that?
Well, as Goldner would say, we're children of the state, so, I can't say what's in the future on that, but that was a question probably that came up at the council. Whether we have to have these specific references to UCA annotations or.
we could, we've been talking about. We thought we'd take baby steps, go with the low hanging fruit first, and then see, start to. Try to revise your land management code to continually update it. It's a living document. And so I think as we go through, we could take out those references. It's not, there's no legal requirement that we refer to them. But for these purposes, it seemed like less work to just update these than it would be to change all the language to take those references out.
It's almost just a search and replace
Right.
9A to 10.20.
And they made it really nice in that it's not exactly the same, so not 10.9A 503 is not 10.20 503, so you have to have a chart and look at them.
The super bizarre, so you're looking for what in the code and you couldn't find it. Or you click on links in other documents if you couldn't find it, and it took me like a week.
Sounds like a job for AI.
Yeah.
You can't trust AI.
Yeah, all right.
So, not yet. Okay, well, I guess I'll throw it out to any of the commission members. Do you have specific comments about up there on the screen? Dave, John? Take that as a no.
Nope, we're good. I'm good. Sorry, not to speak for Dave.
I'm also good with it.
Great, thanks.
No comments.
comments? Alright, so with that, I guess, I would entertain a, motion to approve item 10A on our agenda to, forward a, positive recommendation to the town council for their consideration and approval. That would be the motion.
So moved.
Moved by John,
I'll second.
second by Dave. Um. Motion, vote any. Everybody. Approve the, motion, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so the next item is item 10B on our agenda, amendments to the town of Alta zoning map to reflect base facility zone A, B, and C. Seeing a lot of in the last couple of meetings. So with that, Chris, it's all yours.
All right. Yeah, so here's the current zoning map. It's a fairly typical, if somewhat anachronistic zoning map, and then it's just a PDF. There are a lot of communities where you couldn't really, the zoning map would be unintelligible on a PDF like this, the size of a piece of paper. A lot of these zoning map products these days are interactive, so you can zoom in and see your parcel. But anyways, this is the current zoning map. The last change was to add the Albion Basin Protection Overlay Zone, which is in that orange polygon in the lower right. Otherwise, I don't believe there's been a major change to the actual zoning districts in quite some time. I should have been prepared to tell you when. So there's no new zoning that would be created through this zoning map, so there's no change in the zoning designation that applies to any properties in Alta. What we wanted to do with this, again, so as Jeff said, base facilities zones A, B, and C have come up recently. These were a product of that big amendment to the base facility zone ordinance in 2014, I believe. 2014 or 2015. And one of the key effects of that ordinance amendment was to create these subzones. So we've got 3 subzones in the base facility zone that create separate regulations for height, coverage, and some other kind of building envelope regulations. So in zone A, we've got the rustler. The other lot is the rustler in the Snow Pine Lodge. Zone B is gold miners in the Peruvian, and then in zone C, we created an inset on here. It's still pretty small. Zone C is in teal, and that is the Snow Pine and the photo house properties.
Snow Pine.
Sorry.
Awesome.
Thank you. Really, let's that. So the big difference here is that the existing zoning map doesn't show those subzones. The subzones are designated based on essentially the commercial name of those properties, which I just don't think is a best practice. I think the zoning map should be inarguable. So we didn't want to create an opportunity for someone to turn their across their lodge into the Town Hall or whatever. So and then argue that it some other zoning district applies to it. So likelihood of that happening seems pretty low, but this was just again some kind of low hanging fruit that we noticed could be plucked in dealing with the zoning amendments that have been proposed recently. And that's really it on this zoning map change. So a little bit more interesting, certainly more colorful than the LUDMA recodification, but not a major change.
Chris, you referred to the Albion Basin Protection Overlay. Did it used to be called the Upper Albion Basin Protection Overlay, or is that something different?
Well, I remember. The map says UABPOC.
Sounds like upper.
Yes, I just remember some extensive debate about that. But I don't, I should know, I don't remember.
Are these very extensive? I mean, are these the
Yeah.
same? Okay,
Same.
all right.
Yeah. There's only one. There's only one overlay zone, up there.
All right.
Okay, well. Let's turn it over to individual commission members, any thoughts or comments?
No comments.
So when you're removing the names of the businesses, is that section B, will that just go away? Like how will you define those?
Like it's in the code.
Yeah,
Well, there's not a proposal to amend that text. It's occurred to me to do that.
yeah,
It's occurred to me to do that and then rely on the zoning map to. Make those designations, but we just didn't really get there and, the time being, I guess maybe it could create a conflict if someone changes. Lodge to the Marin Lodge or.
But the zoning map has priority, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it does. This is the actual zoning map, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what we're, I guess, clarifying, is the zoning map is all we're doing, we didn't change any code.
Correct. Oh, this.
So how about up there, Dave or John, any?
I just think it's better. I like it. Cleaner.
Chris, no surprise that I would comment on the drawing, but appreciate the effort for the enlargement.
Yeah. Maybe a little
Given
larger.
that it's a PDF, I still think they have another pass to make that more clear for even when you zoom in on the digital copy, it's
Yeah.
impossible to align the legend with that tiny little splotch of color. Like I wouldn't be able to tell, other than we've talked about it a bunch of times about the two properties. So I would recommend or say that we let the folks take another pass at an enlargement that makes it more clear.
Fair enough, Dave, I think that's good, but.
Would that be, I guess, okay if they would, include that in our motion? Forwarding that to the town council, or do you want that to come back here first?
No, I think that's just fine. I like that efficiency. And I appreciate the whole effort. And I think it was a good idea, Chris, to pursue this and make that more clear so we can be more direct with people when we talk about these two properties.
So I guess with that, ready for a motion to I guess forward a positive recommendation to the town council for their consideration and approval of amending the town of Alta zoning map, base facility zones A, B, and C, with a direction to staff to see if they can better highlight particularly zone C, with better PDF of that, so. And so moved.
second.
Moved by Paul, seconded by Maren. All those in favor say aye.
I
Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, that's B.
Now to C. Amendments to the provision of Title 10 regarding petitions to rezone. Chris?
So, no colorful pictures in this one, a fair amount of red text. So, we have, as you'll recall, seen, well, we've processed one petition to rezone at the town, and we are in the midst of processing another petition to rezone, or a proposed amendment, as it were. Yeah, this would be the Toronto State proposal to rezone a portion of their property, and then the Shell Shop proposal to amend the zoning. So, you know, in my experience, those kinds of proposals don't come around that often in Alta, or they haven't in the last, 10 years. So when we sort of fired up those code sections to understand what the process was, we just noticed a couple inconsistencies or gaps, and thought it would be appropriate to sort of rearrange where some of these pathways sit within town code. So basically, what this one does is, so petition to rezone is a sort of a, I don't know, term of art or something. Or a form or a process with distinct requirements that you go through to typically to propose taking the zoning designation on your property and changing it to another zoning designation. If we had these petition to rezone sections in the actual zoning district sections of town code. And talking to the shallow shaft, really the Toronto State as well, we noticed that there was no petition to rezone section in the base facility zone. Can't imagine it was ever the intent to restrict base facilities on property owners from proposing that their zoning change, and that instead, it seems like it was maybe an omission. That when that section was updated, it didn't get the petition to rezone section. It may have been that absence of a petition section from the base facility zone ordinance that led to questions about you propose under the text in the zone you want to go into or the one you want to come out of, and they're largely the same text. So we thought it would just be simpler to take those out of the zoning districts and move them up into general provision, which is like chapter 1 of the land use chapter. So all this does is take those petitions to rezone. They actually only appear in forestry multifamily, forestry recreation, the single family zone, and forestry multifamily, the condominium zone, more or less. So it takes those sections out of that, it takes the petition language out of those sections, moves it up to chapter 1, so we get a net reduction in volume in town code, which is always nice. And then that appears alongside basically all the other language in town code that governs how you change land use regulations. So we just think it's more straightforward to have those provisions out there at the top of the land use title in town code.
Then they basically apply to all the zones.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Jeff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Bill? Start down here. Anybody have any comments or thoughts?
Not really, it seems like a make work project in some respects.
A little bit, but
Because, people can file a motion to do anything they want.
yeah. Well, we'll save us some time in the office the next time on Compound Road to debate what process to put before. And you'll save the applicant time, and I just know that in both these cases.
What came up with recently with respect to some of these things,
Yeah, they don't know.
where do we fit?
Yeah.
And I think it helps if we can clarify our code so it's easier for people to find what they need to do.
Things are complicated enough up here, right?
Yeah. So, how about up there, John, Dave?
I just supportive of anything that reduces any ambiguity from anybody, so I'm in favor of this sort of clarifications.
Chris, I had a question for you on the red versus blue. I interpreted that the red text was moved and the blue text was new. Is that correct? This was at the end of the big robust package John Nepps did. And I wasn't certain that I was understanding I was trying to get through it. Is that true, or is that just a happenstance of the editing?
No, that's absolutely right.
Okay.
So the red language was the language that was brought over, but because they referenced those other sections within their subchapters, we made it more universal.
Right.
Very good. Thank you.
That ended up being blue.
Well, with that, I think we're,
Well, I think, Chris accurately described all this stuff as housekeeping. We're just, you know, nice things up.
it's good to be done.
Yes, good.
So, well,
Much like a mess.
Yeah.
so I would entertain a motion to forward a positive recommendation to town council for their consideration and approval of item 10C on our agenda, amendments to provisions of Title 10 regarding additions to rezone. You can make that motion?
So moved.
Paul, we have a second?
I'll second.
Was that Dave?
Yeah, I think.
Dave? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I also lost my vote sitting as a chair, right?
Yeah.
So, motion carries. We're on to a second page. Wow. So, the last item of our proposed amendments is to amend provisions of the subdivision chapter. So, Chris?
Yeah, so this one, also is an outgrowth of recent events. We wanna see, Polly is, maybe a little bit more qualified to speak on this one. She's been working this one up. But we wanna make sure that when we receive subdivision or condominium plots, that if we are the final signatory or, come late. But we are the final signatory, we wanna make sure that any third party approvals are current. And we lack a provision in town code to deny. To deny a plat with stale signatures. So the effect of this is to require one to bring in signatures that are 6 months. No, 6 months old.
And actually, it's even more, that's exactly right. And then moreover, the idea, you don't wanna have plats sitting out there for years and years that have been approved that aren't recorded because our laws might change. So it prevents there from being, something that's out there for 5 years that, you approve this, that condo plat tonight, and the expectation is that it's going to get recorded in a timely manner. And that it's just, in a sense, the ultimate housekeeping, just to make sure that things that are approved move forward.
So the final approval. We can only get final approval if the plat that got preliminary approval is 6 months old or less.
Correct. And then there's the opportunity to give 1 6-month extension. So they have up to a year between preliminary and final. So 6 months ideally, but if they need a year, they can get a year. And then, and if you think that that's too short or too long or whatever, that's your prerogative. I just did that based on other jurisdictions I've seen. I've seen a range from anywhere from 6 months to a year, I'd say, is pretty typical. And then from final to recordation, it's a year with the ability to do 1 month.
So they basically have up to almost 3 years.
Yeah.
So. seems more than reasonable to me. Okay, any comments from commission staff?
No.
Makes sense to me.
How about Dave,
Sounds good to me.
Ditto.
John as well?
Yep.
So again, would entertain a motion to for the positive recommendation for our item 10D on our agenda, amendments to provisions of the subdivision code. For their consideration and approval. Care to make that motion?
So moved.
Marion? Second. Paul, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who's the second?
All. Okay. So, thank you. All right, moving on, our Open Meetings Act training. I assume that's going to be. Sure. Oh,
Yes. Let's see, I'm gonna need to,
Do you get that, you need your?
I'm just gonna stop sharing
attention.
while I pull it up so you don't see my windows.
Oh, I have a question for you about this opioid stuff. I scheduled to take it again for part of CWC or something. Can I get traffic credit?
Right, do you want me to write you a doctor's, a letter?
I will.
I can. So I give you the choice, you can either take mine, I mean, if you want to,
Well, didn't we just do this for the council?
yeah,
Recently?
it's gonna be the same,
I thought so.
so.
Were you paying attention the first time?
Oh, of course. I was riveted. Well,
Well,
let me make a suggestion. How about if we invert new business with this and I'll leave?
You know, we don't have a vote, right?
Yeah. Very efficient. Take it personally, probably.
Well, based on a suggestion from
our ex officio.
could we talk about new business now? We're gonna have new business.
Yes.
Well, I could say a couple things, but I would not, with the mayor from kicking it off. So, I'll just get it out there that we are trying to, sort of beat the drum to let folks know that we're gonna have a special, we're calling it a town hall meeting to talk about our capital improvement planning we've been doing and, the need to pay for capital improvements to our water and sewer systems and our buildings. That's on March 11th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. We'll have some more interesting documents on the screen than we had tonight. And it'll be noticed as a town council meeting. So the whole council will be there and we'll have public comment and feedback. I think we haven't talked about this stuff that much at the planning commission because it's not exactly. It's not land use, kind of land use regulations. It's not exactly long range planning for the look, feel and character of Alta. It's kind of, it's not really in between those things. It's related to the latter. In a perfect world, I think we would have updated the general plan and then turned to kind of define the vision and make sure we're gonna have the right, assets and infrastructure to achieve that vision in the future, but we just, they're both major undertakings. And the council decided over the last few years that we can't wait on the infrastructure stuff. So the infrastructure stuff is maybe a little bit of a medium term play because we have some glaring needs on all of those assets. And we've been working on master plans for the last couple of years and talking about it in council meetings, talking about them in special council retreats. And we wanted to get a community meeting together before ski season's over. Hopefully we're still skiing in 2 weeks. It seems like we probably will be.
Water skiing.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
So that, because we're likely to begin a design project on a new building, we may begin a design project on a new building this summer. Probably a phased approach to designing a new building, and we just wanna start to get people more involved in the process of talking about that and the funding that we need to raise to pay for it. So anyway, just a PSA, it's not, certainly not required for the planning commission. But we're trying to get residents, taxpayers, and property owners involved.
Acquainted with the idea that
Yes.
taxes are going up.
It's March 11th.
March 11th,
Just like everything.
5 p.m. at Our Lady of the Snows.
What day of the week is the 11th?
So Wednesday. Yeah, easiest to schedule a council meeting. Mondays they're already scheduled, so.
Great, thank you.
And I just, so I mentioned the general plan, but. You know, I know we told the commission we applied for a Wasatch Farm Regional Council grant to get some funding to hire consultants to update the general plan. And my experience with those is that they typically announce the awards in March. So by the March Planning Commission meeting, which I believe is on the 25th, we may know whether we got a grant to do that project. So shooting ourselves in the foot in terms of workload.
Keeps you off the street.
Yeah.
Off the slopes even better.
That's it.
Mayor, I have a new business item.
Okay,
This is unusual. You may have read in the news that last Saturday there was a slide that carried a couple of skiers in Big Cottonwood Canyon. Chris and his wife Heather were there. They were first on the scene and rescued these people and saved their lives.
It's true. Thank you, Roger.
scary out there.
Yeah, I talked to one of the patients last night.
Did you?
I talked to him for, about an hour and a half on Saturday too, but he was out of the hospital and the other individual was still in the hospital. So, yeah. Great.
I mean, it's nice to have a big company right here.
It's true, right? Yeah. That's kind of you, Roger.
Thank you. I guess that means you're
Yeah.
tournament red. Yeah.
Color green.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
I think, well, you also have the date of the next meeting.
Yeah, do you want it, is March
Well, I think he
25th?
just met and he just.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's March 25th. We'll just do 13th at the same time since we're jumping out of order.
And I just jump up because I'm actually gonna be out of country, so,
Dates and the days of the week align this month.
yeah.
Roger.
Oh,
Look at
Oh, you have
You're the one. You're the one.
So, but we'll have coverage, Cameron can cover, or, so we'll make sure you have coverage, but I just wanted to,
that.
if there was a change of the date, that would be awesome. I think we,
What dates are you?
I'm just
in
gone that
country?
whole week, I'm gone the 20th to the 29th.
Is there any anybody wants to consider changing it or just look for coverage? Do we know if we're gonna have any really controversial?
Well, that is the date when the shell shaft wanted to come in and have the commission vote on a recommendation with their action. So I mean, we do have Polly's associate Cameron works with the town on quite a lot of they both help us out as town attorney and so Cameron could step in and help. So I mean, I think. What do you think about changing it up on the applicant, that one?
They're available, I mean, I remember they came in, when was that, and they weren't ever, December, they wanted
Let's
to,
go in March.
and they were the ones that were not available. Two meetings, right?
Yeah.
So,
So my proposal would be to leave the meeting where it's at. And then talk to Michelle Shaft and see if they're comfortable coming on April 22nd. at that point. So. That work for you, okay?
Yeah, either way, I'll have, Cameron can cover and we'll be prepared, but I just thought I'd throw it out.
So, all right. Well, it's rearranging
Good mark.
the time schedules and watch everybody open these days.
Also done on the statuses.
Oh, well, yes, so that's another thing is that, the chair, requested a ski around. And we did schedule the general manager, for a ski around, so I mean. It'd be much easier to have a ski around and then not come back for a vote on a petition to rezone, which is not to say there couldn't be other items, but, anyway, so that is right, thank you for highlighting that, so we did schedule a ski around at. You can notice that.
Yeah.
Good, huh?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna,
Not a regular meeting, so it's not in the schedule.
It's like a site visit.
Right, so we need to notice a ski around, maybe we'll wait and see. How the, conditions and the agenda for the regular meeting shape up.
Be optimistic about conditions.
And just,
It's not there.
and just so you know, given my recent hip replacement, I won't be skiing around. So,
Cameron won't be seen around. And I'll try to not be skiing around with you, but I've got better things to do.
If they're gonna be like skiing under the midnight sun or something like that, you could FaceTime.
Yeah,
yeah,
would be up in northern Norway. It's an area called Finnmark. It's kind of, Norway kind of
yeah.
curves around.
Okay, so are we settled? We're gonna leave it
That's
on
right.
March 25th and talk to the applicant, see if they wanna come in on April 22nd. Is get a better not reception, but more attentive crowd.
Yeah.
Well, all right, well, with that, we're gonna go back up to item 11, our open public meetings.
Let's just
Oh,
go.
also my training.
You're not looking at my to-do list, right?
Yeah, it didn't come.
So,
Here, just a sec, sorry. Jeff can probably start.
So, yeah, anyway, I can kick it off and I can be pretty fast. This is similar to the one we did last year, which ironically I just had to switch. It was February 26th, 25, and now it's February 25th, 26th, so that's kind of funny. I did add one thing so you can see whether you notice it. But you're required to do annual training. It's a great reminder, I think, for everyone to do it, which is why I think staff always asks that we do it in person, or not more, but do this as opposed to just filling out the state auditor's program, which takes about 5 minutes. So and if you want to test yourself, you can always take a little test exam. So I think you'll do fine on that. Go ahead. And it's just a reminder that it requires you to do your duties in public, deliberate and make decisions in public. And openly means in a public meeting, so, which is why if you're gonna do a ski around and you're gonna talk business, even though you're not gonna take action, the transparent thing to do is to notice it and let the public know this is what we're doing. And that's why a lot of times also, so for example, site visits, we don't record those, that's not required to be recorded, we will touch on that later. But I always like to do a little, that have the chair just give a little recap after the fact, just so that we've memorialized it somehow. Last meeting or earlier today, we did the ski around, we saw this and this, and that's all that was discussed. So, okay. And, yeah. It's time to probably redo my things, but I like that the cartoons are actually pretty good. So it applies to you. So I don't, if you had a subcommittee and there wasn't a quorum, then maybe it would not apply. Depends on certain other circumstances. Okay. For you, it's 3 members. It's not a chance meeting. If you all happen to be at the gold miners having a break along, after the planning commission, as long as you're not talking about planning commission business, it's allowed without notice. And then I always kind of remind, be careful of, not having a meeting by email, by chat, by IM. And also like not having a meeting after the meeting. So if you have something that's kind of exciting in the meeting, and then afterwards everyone wants to talk about it, I wanna talk about it, but we can't talk more about the business at hand, we just gotta let it lie. And it's okay to send like a group text to say, hey, is everyone available for the ski around on the 25th? That's okay, but anything substantive should not be done. You shouldn't do reply all, and staff is really good at often sending things fine copied, which I know can be a little disconcerting, but it's just to avoid those reply alls where you start getting the conversation going by email. And actually, I don't know if it's just me, but I see a lot less of that mistake than I did 10 years ago, where people seem to always hit reply all, so. So a meeting we just kind of talked about, and I do need to update this, I think, well, I did do a conference call recently, but people are not doing conference calls these days, so. Can move on.
This is a good cartoon though, if you haven't appreciated this one.
Oh yeah, this is actually.
All those in favor of what we discussed in our email thread and at Larry's son's birthday party, say aye.
Which is exactly right, the point, so, and actually, that is, my new addition. Is I was reading through the open public.
Gave it away.
I know, I did, we're supposed to guess, but I was so excited to change it, and I found this provision. That says predetermining public body action is prohibited, I mean, that's given anyway, right? But you cannot act together outside of a meeting. Concerted and deliberate way. To predetermine an action, and I think that what that's also talking about is because you are. Doesn't happen so much in the planning commission, but it does, in the legislative body where maybe different people are lobbying each other or talking to each other. But if, Roger were, I can pick on him because he's gone, were to call each of you and say, talk about something, you can't decide one-on-one.
This light turns green.
Yeah.
Talking about.
Well, for example, Chris calls us individually. I suppose to discuss the agenda or the materials, or if we have questions. If 2 of us were together, you can't take that call.
No, 2 of you could, but what you can't do is predetermine an action. So, which you couldn't even do if it was one-on-one, right? So Chris couldn't call you and say, hey, you just really need to approve these land use amendments. Like, you have to, I don't care if it's the right thing to do or not, you have,
Well, that's not a whole lot different than if you're talking to Chris or a staff person and they say, this seems pretty perfunctory. And
Yeah.
then you
Or
say, well, yeah, okay.
what if it's not perfunctory and somebody wants to know my recommendation on a petition to rescind?
well,
What if I have one? And I have one.
so that's a lot, I mean, as long as he's consistent with the staff report, he can talk to you about that. But it can't be predetermined, it can't be,
You can't take action.
you can't
You
take
can have
action, you can't.
You can have conversation, but you can't take action.
Right, and you shouldn't make up, you need to come into the meeting with an open mind, right? And.
Well, some of us never have our minds open.
Well.
Gotta go back to the 60s.
There's a great photo of you with the original Alta season pass, by the way, that let's make it up.
So the idea is just that it's like exactly that cartoon, hey, we talked about this, so let's vote, right? Like. Even if you've had that one-on-one with Chris where you've explored ideas, whatever, or even if two of you talked about something, which I don't recommend because I think deliberation should happen in the public meeting, but sometimes people do want to explore different facets of it, and it is legal to talk one-on-one. The idea is that you're not coming in already with your mind made up. You're gonna listen to whatever evidence is presented to you, whatever, and then make your determination. And have a robust, to use the word again today, discussion of, you know, why you're deciding in a certain way. The public is entitled to know that. So. Okay, and then, actually go back. I was so excited to read my new thing. So actually and then the other thing is that, just that reminder, I just always like to highlight that grandma, you know, your government records are subject to grandma. And so, you know, there's the avoiding having a public meeting via email, but also just the reminder that your email related to the planning commission is open to the public. So don't say anything in it. You don't, I haven't seen anything that causes any worry, but don't say anything like, you know, Roger was glowing today that could be misinterpreted.
And we do see that, yeah, we process a lot of records requests, so, I mean, every government processes a lot of records requests, but.
Okay. Okay, so electronic meetings, you guys adopted a resolution which allows it, and all that's required is that we have an anchor location, so it's possible for you all to be remote. Obviously, that happened a lot during COVID, and all we need to do is make sure we know who's talking. So, you know, in today's world with Zoom, with video, it's as if they're here, but if it's also allowed if people have to call in, so. Very rare for you to have closed meetings, but occasionally you do related to litigation. So these are just the very limited reasons why your meetings can be closed. But the presumption is that everything that you do in your meetings will happen in the public. And the big things that I could see being involved with you, with the planning commission would be if there was anything to do with litigation is probably the most likely reason why things would be closed. But if there was a personnel issue, sometimes I've also seen like petition. Okay, and then just going over the noticing requirements, just so that you know, right, you always are gonna have your agenda. Everything, the state law requires 24 hours before, we of course try to get it to you earlier. Sometimes we're better than other times, but state law just requires that the agenda be posted 24 hours, so you can change the agenda up to 24 hours before. Public needs to know where, when, why, basically, time and place of the meeting. It gets posted, where town hall, does it end here?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then also on the Utah Public Notice website, I assume you guys all have signed up for that, so it's good to just make, you know, see it come through again. You can also sign up also for the council agendas if you're interested. And then there are requirements for public hearings happen 10 days prior. And they've kind of expanded noticing affected entities and things like that. And then also we notice our annual meeting schedule annually, so. That's noticing. Okay, we've kind of done these. And then just the public comment, the idea, I always give the example because I think initially, you guys are sophisticated, been doing it enough to know that difference between a public meeting and public comment and a public hearing. But, you know, not everything is a public hearing. Here, everything we did talk about today was a public hearing, but, you know, sometimes it's not. Or if you had continued the plat amendment, you're only allowed to have one public hearing, so the next time would have just been a public meeting. And if the public raised an issue in the public comment, you can talk about it, but you can't take action.
Similarly, if there's new business, no action can be taken on new business because it hasn't been noticed.
Exactly.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So for example, we were talking about the meeting date, could we have changed the meeting date since it wasn't on the agenda? Or
Yeah.
could we? I could do that, okay.
Yeah, and because also it would be noticed. I mean, that's almost.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But
That
that's
is a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on the agenda for
That's the
the
date.
date of next meeting,
Yeah, that's true, that's
so
true.
you guys.
But I'm amending the posted meeting schedule.
That's a
Doesn't
good
have to be
question.
like that.
No, I mean, I see that happening, if we knew that there was, all of a sudden we learned at today's meeting that there wasn't gonna be a quorum. At the next meeting, it's allowable,
So if you don't have a quorum, you can't have a meeting.
you can't have a meeting, and that's actually a good thing that can also be confusing. We've had, you know, two commissioners show up for a work session. And they say, well, why can't we just have the presentation? It's like, well, no, it's not a meeting because we don't have a quorum. So it's kind of like the invert, you can't have a meeting without going through all these formalities, but you also can't go through all those formalities and not have three of you present, because you don't have a.
Well. Present and by video.
Right,
Right.
yeah. Virtually also is allowed. Okay, and then. I thought we just did this, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I went back too far.
He was trying to trick me.
Sorry, Holly.
All your meetings are recorded, minutes are for all your meetings. The audio must be available within 3 business days. The minutes have to be available, draft minutes have to be available within 30 days by state law. And then once they are approved, they get posted within 3 days. So those are changes that have kind of happened over the last.
And these are also taped YouTube videos, right?
And that's allowed to, I mean, you guys are great because they back up the YouTube or the Zoom with an audio recorder, which is a very good idea. Because I have had other towns have had circumstances, something happens, the internet goes out and then they don't have a recording, so it's good that they have the backup. But if ever you do miss a meeting, you know, it's available for you to listen to. So. And it goes back a long ways, and I often, you know, and the draft minutes, right? Like, so if you're, obviously you look back, staff does an incredible job with the minutes. They're concise, but also informative, so that's, I think, incredibly helpful to kind of know what's happened before. Okay. And you can hold emergency meetings,
How can you have an emergency meeting if you don't give 30 days notice?
24 hours notice. That's when you have an emergency meeting. There is a provision to allow for it. So planning commission, unlikely that you would need one. Council much, you know, if there was, you know, a natural disaster or something, they might need to call them.
Like the gold miner daughter explosion.
COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever did one less than 24 hours, but.
So there are certain, I'm not gonna go over those because I don't expect it to happen. If it does, I'll walk you through it. Okay. And then violations, if you knowingly or intentionally violate, it is a class B misdemeanor. And there's the link, actually I didn't update that one, but from last year for their Open Public Meeting Act training, and if you want to feel really smart, you could go and do the little test and you'll pass it with flying colors.
Do we get a certificate?
And you get a certificate if you do the state one, and I can write you a letter if you need one for other boards or whatever, since now I've sat through this.
Do we have insurance? Are we indemnified?
Yeah, you're not, we don't have insurance for the planning department. What we do, in a sense, we're under the Utah Local Government Trust is our insurer, which is a state consortium. They're very good. If you were to get sued as a planning commissioner, you would be indemnified by the town. The town, and governmental immunity would apply to you.
Right. Unless, of course, you violated the open,
Well, right, yeah,
And then it says class of D.
right, and if you had one too many at the gold miners and drove down the road from your planning commission meeting, all bets are off.
Out of the scope of the meeting.
Exactly,
It's not over the public anymore, so.
yeah. Or I guess maybe a better example would be like if you got into a bar brawl or something. That sounds more exciting than.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it, so thank you.
Thank you.
And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, that was useful. Thank you.
I mean, I benefit from let's say two of these a year. If I had to sit through a third one, maybe not so, but I think having the opportunity to talk through it is so much more valuable than.
Well, it's a reminder of best practices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the public gets to watch us all acknowledge that. I mean. Yeah, I think it's good. It's good to have it.
So any thoughts from the internet crowd?
Good reminder.
Great. Thank you.
Right.
Well, we've discussed new business, we've discussed the date of the next meeting. And so now we're down to the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Anybody opposed?
Yep.
Motion carried, so.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.